Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Marvel Champions video. We're going to be doing a quick unboxing. Today I picked up Star-Lord and Gamora for Marvel Champions. So, I got like we normally do with these when new decks come out. I'm going to quickly open them, show off some of the key cards, then I'm going to turn the camera off, going to play a game. I'm probably going to do a two-handed game with this one, because I want to see how they play together. I'm probably just going to test them against Rhino. That's my kind of baseline testing. Might play him against some other villains as well. I'm probably going to try to maybe running the campaign with either Star-Lord or Gamora, because I'm not really having a lot of luck with Rocket. And Gamora seems interesting because she can include attack and thwart cards from other aspects. So, like, if you're playing her, let's say you're playing her aggression, you can use attack and thwart events from the other aspects, being protection, justice, and leadership. So that's Gamora. Then we got Star-Lord. So his whole thing is basically he does really risky stuff. You get extra encounter cards, and then a lot of his cards are get boosted based on the number of face down encounter cards that you have in front of you. So we're gonna go ahead and get these opened here. And then again, I'm gonna get them sleeved up and all that kind of stuff as well. You have the little packet here with the information. This will give you some rules for Star-Lord. You actually also get a Star-Lord poster there. So, Star-Lord Hero Pack, Hinder, Piercing, and Range. Those aren't necessarily new. Let's see. So, this is a leadership Star-Lord deck. And what Star-Lord does is each ally you control is a Guardian, and then he's got cards that will affect various Guardians. So the thing is called What Could Go Wrong. As an interrupt, when you play a card from your hand, deal yourself one face down encounter card, reduce the resource cost of that card by 3, and that's limited once per round. So you don't get a ton of extra encounter cards, but you're going to get at least one. And yeah, so when you play a card, it's limited once per round. So during the your round, basically you can play a card, reduce the cost, and then your like the element gun, his main gun is a 3 resource card. So you can get that out for free at the cost of getting a face-down encounter card. Go ahead and get this a little bit more open here. So there is Star-Lord. Don't know if the camera wants to pick up on that. But pretty good. So he's got 2 attack, 2 thwart, 1 defense. And then there is Peter Quill, the ally side, which is a guy with a recovery of 3. And as a setup, you can basically search your hand and discard pile for a copy of the element gun and add it to your hand. Very similar to Captain America's setup, where you can search your deck for the shield. And he has a smooth talker action as a choose a card in your hand and swap it with the top card of your deck, as on the Peter Quill side. So there's Nova Prime, one of his allies. Daring Escape. We have, where's the, let me see if I can find the element gun. So there's actually 2 element guns in the deck. The element gun is really cool. So there is element gun. Let's see if it wants to at least block off so I can show it to you. Looks like the camera doesn't particularly want to focus on it, but yeah, there we go. There's the element gun. So restricted, and it's 3 cost upgrade. As an attack, you can basically exhaust it and spend the resource of any type to deal 3 damage to an enemy, and it gets piercing as well, which is pretty good. So element gun is one of his key cards for him. Then he's got a bunch of other cards in his deck. Again, he is a leadership deck, and then we have he's got his obligation and his nemesis. And then we have again cards for the other aspects as well. So that is Star-Lord. I'm just going to do a quick overview because I've kind of already discussed most of the cards in this video, or in a previous video, I should say. So there is Star-Lord. Put that back in here. We're going to go ahead and get Gamora opened. Let's see if we can get her little information packet. So we have our Gamora poster. So there's Gamora, and there's the information on back. So here's a frequently asked question for Gamora. It says, do the 6 attack and or thwart events from Gamora may include in her deck count toward her minimum and maximum deck size? It says, yes, while Gamora may include events in her deck outside of her chosen aspect, these events are still counted as part of both her minimum and maximum deck size. So if you're using cards from outside of her aspect, these still count towards your deck building limitations as far as cards in like how big your deck can be. And so it looks like the Gamora deck is an aggression deck. So I'm gonna quickly open the deck because I'm wondering if they include any other cards that are not aggression as far as for deck building. I would think they would, just so you can at least kind of see how she works. Because usually with these videos, I kind of just play the deck kind of like straight up the way the default deck, whatever like the precon is. So this is aggression for Gamora and leadership for Star-Lord, which could be a pretty good combo. So I'm gonna go probably play them what they call two-handed solo, where I'm gonna be playing essentially just a two-player game with one person. So here is Gamora. See if it wants to focus. There we go. So 2 attack, 2 thwart, 2 defense, and finesse. After you play an attack event, remove a threat from the scheme, and then as a response, after you play a thwart, deal a damage. So basically, whatever you play, you get the reverse of it as some other effect. And here is the alter ego of Gamora. So she has a 3 recovery. She's an outlaw, and you may include up to 6 attack and or thwart cards from other aspects. And she has an action. Look at the top card of your deck. If that card is an attack or thwart event, draw it. And limit once per round on that. Another interesting thing with Gamora is her Nebula is one of her allies. But Nebula is also, if I can find it in here, so this is a pretty interesting scenario here. Her nemesis is also Nebula. So there's Nebula, the ally, Nebula, the nemesis, and if you have Nebula in play, the ally, and the nemesis comes out, you discard the ally, which could be really interesting playing against the collector, because I think it would probably trigger and go into the collector's collection. Okay, so let me see what we have here. So we have some basic cards here. Those are her signature regular cards. We have some aggression cards. And we also do have, looks like, First Hit is in here from Protection. We have Impede, which is from Justice. Some more aggression cards. There's the Drax ally we talked about a couple weeks ago. So it looks like she does have 6 cards. So 3 from Protection and 3 from Leadership on top of her regular aggression cards. So they did build it with that in mind, which is cool. So I'm going to go ahead and going to flip the camera off. Going to go get these sleeved up. Going to play, probably, like I said, play a 2-player game. Going to come back, kind of report my findings on these decks. I've read a lot of really good things about these decks on the Marvel Champions subreddit. People are saying Star-Lord is a lot of fun. Haven't really read a whole lot about Gamora, but she just looks really interesting with her deck building capabilities of being able to include up to 6 different thwart and or attack cards from outside of her aspect. So we're going to go ahead and get these decks sleeved up, and we're going to play, and then I'm going to come back and let you know how it went. We'll be right back with that. Alright, and we are back after the first two-handed solo game with Star-Lord and Gamora. I ended up losing pretty badly, but it was pretty much all Star-Lord's fault. So Gamora did well. She did quite a bit of damage, got rid of some threat with her ability. Whenever you play attack, you remove threat, and whenever you play a thwart event, you remove or you do damage. However, Star-Lord ended up getting a bunch of face-down encounter cards. I think at one point during the villain phase, after the villain gave an encounter card, I had like 3 of them. And all of the face-down encounter cards that Star-Lord got ended up being pretty devastating. So I ended up getting his obligation that way. I ended up getting Shadows of the Past that way. I ended up getting the charge upgrade for Rhino, which gives him +3 attack and overkill, and then you discard the upgrade after that. One of the encounter cards, because like Star-Lord was getting so many of them, Gamora ended up getting confused. Gamora being confused isn't that bad because I was using her more for attack anyway. But and then also just a bunch of minions came out. So like Shocker came out, and so did Sandman, who comes in with a toughness status. So we got through the first stage of Rhino, but then we got stuck on the second. I think we got him down to like 26 health out of 30, and then one of the Star Lord's face down encounter cards, another one of them was the one that has him heal 4 damage. And that card happened, or we got that card a couple times where he hadn't taken damage yet, and it causes it to have surge. So then you get another encounter or another encounter card gets dealt out instead. So it was pretty rough, but it's very thematic to Star Lord. How basically he gets them into a bunch of trouble by trying to do, like has like what he thinks is going to be a really great plan, ends up completely backfiring on him. So even though I lost, it definitely felt thematic. It felt like Gamora was definitely doing more of the actual work. I ended up actually going back and playing a solo game with just Gamora, where I actually won. Gamora is fairly strong, especially like she has a good attack. She has good ways to get attack events into her hand. She has an upgrade that lets you basically exhaust it to get a resource or a wild resource to play an attack or a thwart. And she has a couple cards that if it's the first card you play, you can actually return it to your hand. So there's a card called Clobber in the deck, which is 2 resources. I think it deals 2 damage to something, and if it's the first card you play that round, you get it back in your hand. So there's a time where I pay 2 resources, played Clobber, did 2 damage, got the card back, and then was able to then discard Clobber to spend on and then like exhaust that upgrade to get a 3 cost attack out or something like that. So ended up winning solo with Gamora. I haven't tried solo Star-Lord yet, but I feel that it's that risk versus reward thing is really strong with him. If you get encounter cards that aren't too bad, it can be pretty good. But like I said, a lot of the encounter cards that I got dealt face down in my game with his ability were things like Shadows of the Past and his obligation, and just cards that could be particularly devastating. But they're both very fun decks. They feel very thematic. Gamora, I think, feels like she's like probably like does more than Star Lord. It's probably not, but it kind of like feels like she's out there, doing all the work or most of the work, while Star Lord is, coming up with these crazy schemes and having those schemes come back to bite him. So definitely very fun. I'm probably going to maybe try the Galaxy's Most Wanted campaign, maybe with Gamora. It's an aggression Gamora deck, and maybe I'll build in some better attack and thwart cards from the other aspects just to like test her out. But like I said, like I've been trying to play through the collector scenario with the base Rocket Raccoon deck, and I haven't done well yet with that. I even lost to the collector with Captain America, who is one of my stronger decks. But that's my basic small mini wrap up review of Star-Lord and Gamora. They're very thematic. They're very fun. If you're fans of them, check them out. They will fill out your Galaxy or Guardians of the Galaxy lineup if you're trying to build that. So we already had Rocket and Groot, and now we have Star-Lord and Gamora. I think we got Drax coming next month as well. Don't know if they're going to be doing any other Guardians, like maybe Mantis or any other the other characters in the Guardians. But so far, they're really doing very well with this Guardians of the Galaxy set. It definitely feels very, very thematic. That's one of my favorite things with this game is each character feels like they do in the comics and movies. So that's going to do it for this video. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and take care.